Hello, people of Earth. You know me. I am he who is called Jim from mycathatesyou.com. You may be asking yourself, what is all this I see before me? It is the beginning of a lovely tasty treat called Liffit or kabees lift. We call them pickled turnips. Let's get started. After you've trimmed and peeled your turnips, you need to decide which style of pickle you want to make. Most recipes on the internet, and indeed Lebanese restaurants I have visited, including my favorite, the Café du Liban in Tarzana, California, use a style I am cutting currently. They leave the turnip in longer strips, about 1/2 inch square. Let's see. Not too bad. Tonight I'm going to be using another style I prefer, which is a half moon. You leave it in large chunks like this. Sort of a half moon. You get the idea. Oops, let's not cut myself. Ha ha ha. So once you've decided if you want this, or that, the real fun begins. Let's get to it. In the interest of brevity, I have already pared and peeled 8 medium-sized turnips, which will eventually, of course, be cut into the previously demonstrated half-moon configuration. Now, I introduce an optional ingredient, the venerable daikon radish. We are using about 4 inches of the fat part. That's PHAT fat. But while I can't say for sure if this was part of the original Lebanese fare, I will say it adds another crunchy pickle flavor all its own to the mix. After cleaning and peeling the daikon, it will be chopped into the appropriate shape. Let's clean this mess up here. Oh, crap. Drop down. Well, I'm going to put this over here. And now we will prepare our beets in the same manner. Pare, peel, chop. Get beets. Cut your fucking head off. Well, wasn't that fast? The beet is used primarily as a natural coloring agent for the turnips and the daikon. Of course, they themselves will also become pickled and are delicious as well. Let's just get rid of the shit here. Looks like it's going to die here. Because I am lazy, I'm going to use pre-peeled garlic cloves in these here little plastic bags. Most recipes call for approximately 1 to 3 garlic cloves per half-gallon jar of pickles. I'm using about 10 or so per jar, chopped of course. Now, though not prevalent in a majority of Liffit recipes, the owners of Café du Liban swear to me that some jalapeno slices in each jar are good for a little kick. I, of course, go overboard and put about 1.5 jalapenos per jar. Let's finish slicing these up. Oh, I can't wait to rub my eye later, or take a pee. That's going to feel great. But now we get to the good part, packing the jars. It's going to take the first jar here, half gallon, put about half the garlic in there, and about half the jalapenos, and pepper finger, I love it. Now, most people will take the beets sliced, of course, and layer them into the jar. Oh, come back here. Layer them into the jar with the radish pieces. I prefer everything at the bottom, the garlic, the jalapeno, and the beets, and then stuff the daikon and the turnip on top. It really doesn't matter. It just comes out the same, you see. So we're going to pack that down into there. Let's just push it down with our fist there. Now for the brine. So we take 6 cups of water, and the ratio here is basically a 3-to-1. 3 parts of water, 1 part vinegar mixture. In this particular brine, I'm using 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. And 1 part red wine vinegar. Oh, this is, let's take the top off here. I see some constriction. There we go. So we have 2 cups of vinegar mixture and 6 cups of water, the aforementioned 3-to-1 ratio. So we pour this into here, and then we add some sea salt. Now I'm using a high quality sea salt. You don't want to use the Himalayan pink or iodized salt, especially because impurities in the salt will create clouding and some strange discoloration of any pickle, not just these. So I'm using a very high quality Argentinian sea salt here. That's about 1 cup. So 1 cup of salt, to 8 cups of liquid. We're going to take the liquid, put it in this metal kettle, dissolve the salt, and boil it. As soon as we're done boiling, we reduce the heat so the brine is still hot, not boiling anymore, but still hot, and we fill up the jars. Let's see if this last little bit in there. It is okay to fill them to the top, as seen here, even though when we close and seal the jar, some liquid may come out, because there are air bubbles attached to all the vegetable matter in the jar, and after a bit of jostling or even sitting around for an hour or 2 or maybe even 5, the air will come to the top and create more headspace than we seem to have now. Is that okay? I forgot one thing. When the fermentation takes place, it will push some of the water out via pressure the size of the sealed jars. It will create more pressure than the seal can hold and will drip all over the fucking place. So we're using a 13x9 baking dish here with some paper towels in the bottom to collect some of the liquid that will come out. And this prevents us from having a mess all over the cabinets. So, notice here how headspace has been created by these jars sitting for merely a few hours. That's okay, but we want the vegetable matter to be all below the water line, below it. So I have some sanitized small ramekins I'm going to insert on top of the vegetable matter and then reseal the jars. You see? Let's do it again over here. Okay. Now it's time to let them ferment. The old school way is, of course, in a hot environment to put them out for about 5 or 6 days in the sun, not at night, of course. But unfortunately in Seattle we have no fucking sun, especially in March. So I'm going to take them and put them simply in a cupboard in the dark, in a room that stays about 70 degrees. It will take longer for the fermentation to start, but it will happen. And about 6 days or 5 days later, move them into the refrigerator and let them set until ready to eat. Some recipes say 10 days of fermentation before you eat them. It depends on your weather and your conditions. If you have the ability to put them outside during the daytime hours in the sun and bring them in at night and keep them at a nominal temperature, you should be good after about 10 days. 5 days outside, 5 days sitting somewhere in a cupboard or on your pantry shelves. I think that's it. Let's say goodbye. Bye.